the intent of this is basically we want to make sure that we promote our programs, promote Battle of the Boot, which is a huge event. We think it's going to be the number one junior college tournament in the country, and the Jay Foundation that's sponsoring has put a lot of money into it, and that allows us to bring teams like yourself in.
Well, I think it's a tremendous, obviously, reason to come together for a tournament, and we're really excited. So, yeah, I'm fired up.
Coach, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from. I just read your bio. You're
Yeah,
from Memphis, right? I mean, originally, and
yeah. Originally from Memphis. Ended up going to high school in Mississippi. Played college ball at Mississippi College in Clinton, Mississippi. It's now a Division II, and never really thought of getting into coaching. Just being honest, but my faith is extremely important to me, and God showed me that through the game of basketball that I can connect with guys that I probably wouldn't have connected with any other way. It was actually through a prison ministry where I saw that, and so just kind of led from one thing to the other. I was actually thinking about going to law school, but I ended up being a GA for my coach and at Mississippi College, and just kind of door after door kept being opened up, and I thought to myself, well, maybe God kind of wants me to stay in this for a little while, and I haven't looked back since. Just really obviously love the chance to impact young men. I grew up in a single parent household, and my coaches showed me a lot of what it meant to be a man. And so I pray that I can do that with the guys that I coach or come in contact with, even if I don't coach them through this game.
yeah, Coach, that's great. I love that story. You don't often hear that type of a story. We want quality people here to come to Twin and quality teams. Our fans really appreciate talented and very disciplined basketball teams. So we asked you to come all the way from Florida out
Yeah.
here to Twin Falls, Idaho, and to start this Battle of the Boot. And we think this thing is going to be just the greatest tournament in the country for junior college. We got some great teams in. You especially. We got Monroe coming in. We got South Plains coming in. We got Casper, West. We got North Idaho. I mean, all these teams are really, really good. It is going to be a battle. So why would you come all the way out to Twin Falls?
Well, I think it's for two reasons. I think just the history of CSI, and I'm not lost. I've been I was in Division I for the past 6 years, and obviously I've kept up with recruiting guys in junior college. But even before that, I remember my first when I was a GA at Mississippi College, my first junior college national tournament was that obviously I went to Hutch, and I was they allowed GAs to go recruit, and so I was going to, and I watched the game where CSI was playing, and I didn't know much about junior college basketball. I hadn't been exposed to it. But then when I watched them, I watched Midland, watched those high level teams. I was like, goodness gracious, like this is fun. Like this is what basketball. And I saw those guys competing at the level, with a chip on their shoulder. I saw guys in junior college have a chip on their shoulders, even more so than like the 4 year guys that I'd been around. And so I've always thought of CSI as one of those national, and they're if you were to say like the top five junior college programs in the history of this game, I mean CSI is right there, and so for a chance to come out there, compete against the best, obviously, with you guys being a nationally ranked team, with South Plains being a nationally ranked team, with Western Wyoming having the team that they do, North Idaho, Monroe, Casper, that is an opportunity that we just we're hoping that we can make work out. And then on top of it, obviously the state of our game, it puts a lot of pressure on these young men, to play and perform. I've been around guys where this game has really taken a toll on their mental side, to come and support a foundation where it's bigger than basketball. um, it's a absolute win-win for us. And so I could not think of a tournament that I'd rather be a part of than this one for the basketball side of things, but also for the meaning behind it and what it stands for, and what these guys are going to get exposed to, learning about Jay and his story. I think it's going to be a tremendous thing for us, on and off the floor. And so it's a why wouldn't I come to this thing instead of why would I.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your team, Coach.
Yeah.
I looked at your roster just 5 minutes before we got on.
Yeah.
And you and I'll know each other pretty well by the time we hopefully play. And you've got kids from all over. So, tell us about your team.
Yeah, so I mean, I ended up getting this job a little later. It was May when I got the job, and Jeremy Schulman, first and foremost, has built he's built this program to what it is. Like, he did a tremendous job. He's here for 14 years. He left, took a head coaching job at University of Tennessee at Martin. And so the brand recognition, I should say, when in terms of talking to recruits, helped it so much in terms of getting a roster quickly, because that's essentially what we had to do. We had literally got one guy that played meaningful minutes last year, and the rest of the roster we had to fill. So it was quick. It was a quick turnaround. So in order to do that, I have not, I've signed, probably guys from 7, 8 different countries in the past, but never have I had a team where the roster is made up of guys from 9 different countries. And so this is even a different thing it's a different thing for me. And so I, but kind of this, we just wanted the best fit. We wanted the first and foremost, I tell all the guys that we recruit, we want men of character. That's the price of admission to get into our program. And so we did research on a bunch of different dudes, and we really just found out that it may be a guy from Israel, a guy from Turkey, a guy from France, a guy from Cameroon, a guy from Virginia. They meshed together, but they were the ones that kind of in that moment were the best fit for us in the time window that we had. Really excited about our group. Now, it's not a group that has played a lot of college basketball. I think we have 4 guys on our team that have played a college basketball minute. But it's our freshman class. I'm really excited about. We have some guys that are actually international guys that played here in the States, that have really shown that they're ready to compete at this level, and hopefully that proves to be true. But really talking about like some of the guys that we have that have played college basketball, it starts with Corey Calker. Corey Calker is a guy that I think is one of the top, 3 or 4 point guards in this country. He was at Northern Virginia last year, was the 8th leading scorer in the country in Division II. Averaged 25, shot 36% from the 3, and that school shut down. So Northern Virginia shut down, and so it just kind of the timing of it, or the program shut down, I should say. The time he was looking for a spot. There were some Division Ones that were he's a qualifier, and Division Ones that were kind of messing with him that were thinking about pulling the trigger. And just when he started thinking about JUCO was when I got the job. There was a mutual connection. A kid we coached at Vanderbilt was what played at his high school at Bishop O'Connell, and connected the dots with Corey. He kind of obviously his family knew about Eastern Florida, and so we've been blessed to have him. He's a guy that he's been on visits to George Mason, North Texas, getting recruited by a lot of different, schools across the country. He's a guy that you watch him. If you appreciate the game of basketball, you love watching him play. He's as solid as they come. He led the WCAC, which is, in my opinion, one of the best high school leagues in the country, in that DMV area. He led them in assist to turnover ratio his senior year at Bishop O'Connell. He was a guy in our last scrimmage that had 9 assists and 2 turnovers. But he also is a guy that can shoot the basketball, that he can get downhill. He scores at all 3 levels. And so really excited about him and the potential year that he has. Mondrick Ford is another guy that is getting, kind of some notoriety as a 6'9", skilled forward that we have from Chicago that played here for Jeremy last year. he's getting recruited by, he's been on visits to UTEP, Queens, Louisiana Tech's trying to get him on a visit. Like he's a high level skilled left-handed forward that does a lot of really, really, really good things. Plays very unselfish. He's a willing passer. But and one thing that's probably understatement about his game is just how he alters shots. Like he's got really long arms, got almost a 7 foot wingspan. And so he's a guy, those two guys are kind of the ones that if you look at our team, they kind of catch your eye right away. But some of these, like I mentioned, some of these freshman qualifiers that have come in, and that in our landscape coaches, some of these high school seniors, they get missed by these Division One,
100%.
and we've been really fortunate to sign some really good ones that for whatever reason, like Division Ones or the right Division Ones didn't pull the trigger on. And so we're really excited about a couple guys like Felipe Patino is from Canada, played at Winston-Salem Prep last year. And Freddie Sill is another one that played at Potter's House. He's from France. We're really excited about the potential they have coming into this year. And we're to be honest, I'm excited about getting up there because we're going to get some guys back from some little nagging injuries that have been out for some of these jamborees and we hope to have as close to a full, group of guys as we've had this preseason.
Let me ask you about, you had some jamborees.
Yep.
Did you mainly stay around Florida? Where did you guys go?
Yeah, so we played at Tallahassee. We went up to Tallahassee, played Tallahassee and Chipola, and then we played in Orlando, played Bishop State, South Georgia Tech, and Gulf Coast. And then we played, one thing that I think has been tremendous is just, we played a 4-year school and actually going to play another one this Saturday. And it's just been tremendous for us and going and playing against bigger, older guys. So those scrimmages have proved to be so beneficial.
Yeah, we do the same thing. We play either the College of Idaho, who's predominantly top 5 in the country, won it a couple of years ago. This year we're playing Northwest Nazarene on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, up there. So they're really good too. And so when you play against those older guys that are more mature, that, it's just they're a couple of years older, a little bit longer in college, it's a little bit harder for sure.
Yes.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, Coach Gray, I guess just to start, you talk about you getting the job kind of later on in the year, but at what point did the conversations between you and CSI start about, trying to come up to Twin Falls for this tournament?
It was pretty quick. I'll tell you, Coach was he was adamant. I want to say when my hiring got announced, I want to say Coach called me within the first 48 hours. So I, appreciated him thinking enough of us and wanting us to come up there and it kind of went on, just trying to make it work from a lot of different angles. I knew it was something that we wanted to do. I just, the main thing, like I told him, is just trying to connect the dots a little bit. And Coach was tremendous with that. And so could not, be more excited and grateful for the invitation.
Sure. What was Coach's pitch to you? I mean, obviously you come up here, you get to play some nationally ranked teams, and then you have that kind of fundraiser perspective as well.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you just named it. I'm obviously coming in the exposure of playing at a place like CSI with the tradition and history that it has. And obviously, the teams that are in it, the field, he had already basically had the field done when he was talking to me about it. So I knew, South Plains, Casper, Western Wyoming, North Idaho, Monroe. I knew those guys were coming. And so this was a tremendous opportunity for us, to play against some high level, competition, some teams that if we were fortunate enough to make the national tournament, that we would see play in the national tournament. And also just explaining to me kind of the background of why this was taking place and what our guys were going to get to experience by, going to the J Foundation and doing that, and learning his story, and what it could possibly mean for, some of our guys' lives that, as men, we think being tough a lot of times is internalizing stuff. And I think, some of our guys, I know they've been through a lot in life, and I'm not, going to shy away from saying that. I know some of our guys' stories, they've been through some stuff, and so I think it's going to be a great deal for us as a basketball team, but also more important, there's going to be value years down the road from these guys hearing this story.
Brevin, go ahead.
Okay, Coach, you mentioned you only really had one key kind of returner from last year. How do you feel, all the new guys are kind of meshing with him so far this year in your practices?
Yeah, I tell you, I could not be more pleased about that. Our guys, they tend to, the beauty about junior college is you're in the dorm, like at Vanderbilt, at Ole Miss, our guys, they're living different places. We were all over the place, but these guys, they are right there, with each other in the dorm. We have a great setup here at Eastern, and so they're spending a ton of time with each other. They spend, almost every minute every day with each other. And so I'm thrilled with how they're, bonding, how they're connecting, because it is like it's, as Coach, talked about. We've got guys from 10 different countries. And so, there's a language barrier in some instances. There's a culture barrier. Guys are used to eating different things. And so the way that they've come together, to be honest, it reminds me of what this world's supposed to be about. And I think it's just a beautiful picture of guys coming from different backgrounds. And so it says a lot about them as men, young men, and being willing to kind of open themselves up to some different things. And so I tell you, I'm thrilled with how they're coming together.
Caleb, anything else from your perspective?
Yeah, I actually have one more question as well. And Coach Reiner, you could probably even touch on this question also. We've back to the Battle of the Boot. We've touched on some of these big time matchups that could happen, but what kind of impact on your guys' teams is just a tournament of this nature going to have? 3 games in 3 days, a true tournament style, winner moves on. What kind of impact down the road is that going to have for your guys?
Coach, if you want to go first, or I'll be more than happy to touch on it.
So when I came up for the format for this tournament, originally it was thought we're going to go get 7 of the toughest teams in the country. We're going to go here and play. Well, immediately that got shot down because no one wanted to come here and go 0-3, especially me, right? But so I came up with another concept because we've out west, we don't have as many schools out west as there is in the Midwest and in the South, right? And so I talked to Region 9 and Region 1, and I just said, hey, here's an opportunity for us to play big-time programs, and you're going to play them on a neutral court. And so schools like Western Wyoming, North Idaho, Casper, it's just a great situation for them to play a national program on a neutral court, right? And then also the teams coming in, they like that concept as well. So Coach and I have already talked. He's got a tough first round match now.
No doubt about it.
He's playing a very well coached Western Wyoming team, a very humble coach, and he knows. Coach has already done his research. He knows he's got a battle on his hand the first game. So, Coach, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's obviously the exposure early, but I think also, learning a lot about your group and exposing them to what it's going to take to obviously if you get to the national tournament, if you're fortunate enough to get there to be able to compete and win, you got to beat high level teams in back-to-back days in a lot of scenarios. And so I think it's a great test, because I think anytime you go and you play a game against high level competition, you find out kind of, what you're made of, what you do well, but also what you really need to improve on. And to Coach's credit, his point, we play in a very difficult league. And so to be able to find that out earlier in the season against teams that are just as good as anybody in our league, I think it's a benefit for us. And obviously, just being, exposing ourselves and being willing to improve as a group. I think you got to challenge yourself. And this is a huge challenge. Trust me, I was, in Division I, I remember when we've traveled from the East Coast to the West Coast, the the difference in the time, the difference in the altitude, the difference in, obviously all those things. I know that's very tough. And so we're throwing some added adversity on us, but I like it. We do something here called Adversity Boot Camp. We do that every week, every other week, trying to teach our guys how to handle adversity the right way. And so I think our guys are going to understand that this is just another form of adversity boot camp, traveling, across the country and playing a high level opponent in Western Wyoming, and then learning from that and see it where it takes us over the 3 days.
Okay. Caleb, Adam, Brevin, anything you guys need to add?
Yeah, there was just one more question I had, Coach. Coach, I remember you mentioned Cochran Ford at the beginning of this call. I noticed on your guys' website, just like CSI, they went to the NCAA Basketball Academy this summer.
Yeah.
They went to the academy this summer. How important, especially in this kind of new era of college basketball, do you feel like events like that can help JUCOs?
Oh, it was. I tell you, that was one of the best run events that I've seen. It had some high level coaches there, like our guy on this phone call that were coaching, coaching these kids and kind of exposing them to different, coaches in junior college, and hearing them preach the same message that they're going to hear, throughout the year. And so I thought it was great exposure for our guys, and especially it helped those guys recruitment. That's what ultimately it's for, right? Like to expose them to Division I schools. And I thought playing against the highest level competition in a setup where it was not just, hey, roll the ball out there and play. There was some structure, there was some organization, there were some life lessons that were taught to those guys, like in terms of recruiting or in terms of how to handle different things. I thought that is something that I'm going to try to get as many guys in every year, because not only does it help their recruiting, help their exposure, it also helps those guys like understand like how to be successful in this game, because this game can offer you a lot of things in life. Like it can be a ticket that can get you to a lot of places if it's used correctly. And I think that academy did a phenomenal job of just exposing those guys to a lot of different things. No
Hey,
doubt.
Coach, just to wrap it up, we look forward to having you out. You got to get out to Shoshone Falls and see that. Even though the water's not flowing, it's still a beautiful area. Your kids are hey, you don't have to worry about them going out at night and going to the beach, because that's not happening here. Okay. And it's going to be a great event. So thankful that you're coming. Look forward to seeing you when you come out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach, and look forward to meeting you all guys in person. And thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Coach.
Coach.
Thank you.